Section 2.3, adding integers using a number line. We've done two separate lessons now on adding integers, and now we're going to look at using a different technique to add integers on a number line. Most of you have seen number lines before. We're just going to use them in a bit of a different way. Often the number lines you've seen in the past have gone from 0 up. Now we're including 0 to 10 and 0 to negative 10. So we have both sides of a number line now. We're going to start with a very basic problem. Most of you know 4 plus 2. 4 plus 2 is 6, even if you count it on your fingers. We have two arrows here. We're going to use arrows when we use a number line. We're going to continue with the same color scheme. Red is going to be negative and yellow is going to be positive. So we're going to start at the beginning and we're going to model this question or this equation onto the number line. So we're going to start with the first piece, and that's the 4 at the beginning. We take our arrow and we move that up onto the number line, and it's a little too long. I'm going to have to resize a couple of these. So there, I've represented 4, starting at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It ends right at the 4. And now we're going to add 2 to that, so we're going to bring another positive arrow up, and I'm going to shrink that down to the proper size, and that is 2. So we can look at 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 1, 2, and we look where both lines end, and that's at 6. And like we said before, even using your fingers, 4 plus 2 is 6. But now we're going to try something a little different. Instead of 4 plus 2, we're going to do positive 4 plus negative 2. We are, however, going to do the same process that we just did a moment ago. We are going to use the same colors, red for negative, yellow for positive, and we're going to pick apart our equation here. We're going to look at it and say, okay, well, positive 4 plus negative 2, I need to make positive 4 starting at 0. We always start at 0 because technically before you start with this integer, you have nothing. So we're going to start at 0 and model positive 4, which we've done there. Now we're at positive 4. That's where our new starting point is for our next integer. Our next integer is negative 2. So now we need to model a negative 2. So we're going to start at positive 4 because that's where we are. And we're going to model negative 2. So if we look at it, the first yellow arrow says 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's positive 4. And our red arrow says 1, 2, negative 2. Positive 4 plus negative 2 ends up at positive 2. And if you can check it using tiles. Positive 4 plus negative 2, so we're going to bring out 4 positives, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to bring out 2 negatives, and we're going to cross those off. So we make a 0 pair, 0 pair, 0 pair, 0 pair. 2 negatives have been canceled, 2 positives have been canceled, and that leaves us with 1, 2. So that means that we end up with positive 2 as our answer. And again, if you go back to the number line, it's the same thing. We go up 4, 1, 2, 3, positive 4, and then we go backwards, negative 2, because we're adding negative 2, 1, 2, and we look down at where we finish, and we finish on positive 2. And positive 2. We'll try that again, but this time we're going to start the opposite way. We're going to start with a negative integer. So we're going to start with negative 5 plus positive 2. The first integer is negative 5, so we need to model negative 5 on the number line. So we grab our arrow. Again, we start at 0 because technically the first number we have is negative 5. We need to, before we even use the negative 5, we're starting at the 0. So we start at 0, we model negative 5. This one is almost perfect. There we go. So this arrow shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 5. It's a red arrow going backwards. And now we need to add positive 2 to that. So we're going to bring up another arrow. And now, of course, back here, we're starting at negative 5 because that's where we've left off. And we're going to show positive 2. Well, this arrow is positive 2. So we go negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left, positive 2, 1, 2, back to the right. And if we drop down, we notice that we are at negative 3. Negative 3. So if we can, once again, we can check that using tiles. We'll go back over to the tiles and we can model this. -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -5, and we're adding +2. So we bring that out as well. And as before, we're going to make 0 pairs. So 1 negative, 1 positive, 1 negative, 1 positive. We don't have any more positives to cancel, so we're left with -3. And if we go back to our number line, we find that we finished on -3. So for practice, what I'd like you to do is using a number line and tiles and symbols. So drawing your own number line and using tiles like this that we've been used before, or positive and negative signs, whatever you'd like to use. I want you to represent the sum of the two integers below. So on a number line, and, not or, and, using tiles or symbols, represent the sum of the two integers, -8 plus +2.